I was standing in the middle of a grocery store parking lot, clutching my leg like it was on fire. The bone felt like it was splitting in half. Every step sent lightning through my body. And when I asked my shift leader for a break, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "We're all in pain. This is a team effort. No break for you." So I did the one thing she never saw coming. I quit right there, in the middle of our busiest day of the year. And that decision, it didn't just change my life. It wrecked hers. If you've ever had a boss who thought your pain didn't matter, this one's for you. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? Your response could help my story reach more people. Let's dive in. My name's Jake, I'm 27, and for 3 long years I worked at a massive grocery chain, the kind of place where fluorescent lights hum like a swarm of bees and the customers treat your time like it's disposable. You know the type, 24 hours open, carts scattered like landmines, and a corporate slogan about family values while they schedule you for 10-hour shifts with no backup. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. I stocked shelves, handled curbside pickup, loaded cars in the rain, anything to keep my bills paid and my pride intact. And then in January, life decided to gut punch me. It started as a dull ache in my left shin. I thought it was a pulled muscle from all the running around. But then the pain didn't stop. It just lived there. A few weeks later, I finally went to a doctor. After scans, x-rays, and one of those long silences only doctors can pull off, he turned to me and said, "Jake, there's a tumor in your tibia." That word, tumor, sucked the air right out of me. My first thought wasn't even about the cancer. It was, how the hell am I going to keep working? But I did what men like me are taught to do. I shrugged it off, said I'd push through, and for months I did. The pain was like walking with a hot nail in your leg, but I kept clocking in. Then came the day the surgeon looked at my new scans, sighed, and said, "Jake, if you keep working, you're one bad step away from snapping your leg clean in two." Those words hit harder than any painkiller could dull. Suddenly, my future wasn't about work schedules or overtime pay. It was about walking again. So I stopped. No job, no income. Just surgery and a long crawl of recovery. They replaced part of my tibia with a metal rod, held it all together with screws. I used to joke I was halfway to becoming the Terminator. But inside I was terrified, because I wasn't just healing bones. I was healing an identity. When all you've ever been is the reliable worker, the guy who never complains, being forced to stop feels like losing who you are. Months passed. Physical therapy became my new full-time job. Endless stretches, ice packs, and that awkward half-walk, half-limp gait that makes strangers stare. By the time I got clearance to return, it was late summer. My doctor gave me one warning before I left his office. "It's stable, but don't push yourself. Pain means stop." Simple advice, obvious even, and I still managed to ignore it. Walking back into that grocery store for the first time felt strange, like revisiting a battlefield after the smoke's cleared. Some coworkers smiled, clapped me on the back, welcomed me back, but one person didn't. Melissa, my shift leader, mid-30s, hair pulled into a tight bun that looked like it was fueled by resentment. The kind of woman who used her title like a weapon. Before the surgery, she'd already made my life miserable. She'd call me slowpoke when I limped too much. Once, she even whispered to another supervisor that I was milking the injury for sympathy. So when she saw me walk in again, she didn't say, "Hey, good to see you back." She said, flatly, "You're finally back?" No warmth, no curiosity, just disappointment wrapped in sarcasm. I brushed it off. I told myself, "Jake, don't start a war your first day back." It was a Sunday, the busiest day of the week. Football game day, family stock-up day, the day people lose their minds over coupons. And guess who got assigned to curbside pickup? That's right, me. I'd be running from the store to cars all day, loading heavy bags, hauling cases of water, basically everything my surgeon told me not to do. At first it felt good. Music in my ears, sun on my face, co-workers smiling. I thought, I'm back. I can handle this. But about 90 minutes in, the burn started. Deep, stabbing heat in the same spot they'd cut open. Every step felt like stepping on glass, and my leg trembled under the weight. I leaned on a cart, pretending to check an order, but inside I was panicking. That's when Ben, one of the newer guys, noticed. "Dude, you okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just need to sit for a bit." He frowned, not buying it. "Then go ask Melissa. You look like you're about to collapse." And that's exactly what I did, or tried to. Melissa was at the service desk, pretending to be busy, phone in hand. I limped up, trying to keep my voice even. "Hey, Melissa, can I take my break like 20 minutes early? My leg's killing me. I can barely walk." She looked up slowly, annoyance written all over her face, like I just interrupted her from curing cancer. "Jake, we're all in pain. This is a team effort. You don't see me leaving early." I blinked, thinking I misheard her. She tilted her head, that condescending smirk forming. "Unless you've got a doctor's note saying you can't stand, you stick to your schedule like everyone else." The irony, I did have that note. It was in my locker, signed, dated, clearly stated I could take breaks when needed. My throat went dry. I wanted to throw it in her face, shout, "This isn't just a sore foot. It's a tumor, you idiot." But I didn't, because that's not what people like me do. We swallow it. We nod, limp away, and tell ourselves just get through the day. 5 minutes later, I couldn't even pretend anymore. The pain had reached a level where I thought my leg might actually snap. Ben saw me again, leaning against a cart, trying to breathe through the pain. He looked furious. He stormed off toward Melissa. I don't know what he said to her, but a minute later she came marching out, face twisted with irritation. "Fine, 15 minutes, go." No apology, no concern, just that cold, sharp fine. I stumbled to the break room, collapsed into a chair, and for the first time since my surgery, I felt something I hadn't before. Not just pain, rage, the kind that bubbles up slow, that makes your hands shake and your chest feel too small. Months of recovery, months of doing everything right. And she still treated me like I was lazy. That's when something inside me snapped. Not my leg, but something deeper. During that 15-minute break, I made my decision. I wasn't going back, not for her, not for this place, not for a job that treated human beings like disposable parts. When the timer on my phone buzzed, I stood up, and instead of heading back to the curbside station, I turned toward the manager's office. The hallway to the manager's office felt longer than usual, like the air itself was thicker, heavier. Every step sent a jolt through my leg, but I didn't care anymore. The pain wasn't the enemy now. It was clarity. When I reached the door, Tom, the store manager, was hunched over paperwork, glasses halfway down his nose. He looked up, eyebrows rising. "Jake, everything okay?" I took a deep breath, steadying the tremor in my hands. "Yeah," I said, voice calm. "Everything's fine. I'm just done." He frowned. "Done with what?" "With this. The job. The constant disrespect. I'm done." There was a moment, maybe 3 seconds, where neither of us moved. Just the hum of the overhead lights and the sound of my heartbeat in my ears. Then Tom straightened, clearly processing. "Hold on. You can't just..." "What happened?" I almost told him. I almost unloaded everything. Melissa's cruelty, the mockery, the endless double standards. But something stopped me. I realized I didn't need his permission to be free, so instead I just smiled. It doesn't matter. I'm done. Then I turned, walked to the time clock, punched out, and slid my badge onto the counter. For a second, the world went completely still. No one said a word. Then, as I walked toward the doors, I heard the crackle of the radios. Does anyone know where Jake went? Jake to curbside, please. I kept walking. Each step hurt like hell, but for the first time in months, my soul didn't. I stopped by the checkout to grab a few groceries for the road. Protein bars, painkillers, a drink. The cashier looked up, confused. You're shopping? I thought you were on shift today. I grinned. Not anymore. As I walked out the automatic doors, I saw Tom rushing from the back. That tight, frantic look in his eyes, the one every manager gets when something's about to go nuclear. He spotted me, slowed down mid-stride. We locked eyes. He didn't say a word, but his jaw tightened like he'd just realized what my absence meant. It was Sunday, the day the store practically ran on chaos and caffeine, and I was one of only 2 people trained to handle curbside orders. Without me, there'd be no one to run pickups, no one to handle the online queue, no one to deal with the angry customers piling up outside. In other words, the whole operation was about to collapse. As I loaded my bag into my car, I could already picture it. Melissa, headset on, trying to juggle 3 calls at once while running bags to cars herself. The sound of walkie-talkies chirping, customers honking, other workers yelling, "Where's Jake?" I sat in my car for a moment, engine off, and just smiled. No shouting, no payback speech, no scene. Just quiet, deliberate freedom. That was my revenge. Simple, clean, perfect. That night I lay on my couch, leg propped up, Netflix humming in the background, and then my phone started lighting up. Ben, bro, you have no idea what happened after you left. Lisa, another coworker. Dude, Melissa's losing it. She had to run orders herself. Tom's furious. Ben again. Orders backed up for hours. Customers lined up outside yelling. Tom had to stay until midnight to help finish. I just stared at my phone, this grin spreading across my face. For the first time, the silence wasn't guilt. It was peace. I didn't reply to anyone. Didn't need to. They all understood what had really happened. I hadn't left out of weakness. I'd left because I was finally strong enough to stop letting them break me. The next morning, I got an email from corporate HR, one of those automated exit interview things. The subject line said, "We're sorry to see you go." I actually laughed out loud. No, they weren't sorry, but Melissa would be. A few days later, Ben texted again. "Hey, rumor is Melissa's under review. Tom reported her for how she handled your medical thing." I froze for a second, not out of revenge, but because I hadn't expected it to actually come back to her. Apparently, some customers had complained that orders were late, and she'd snapped at them. Then another employee, probably Ben, mentioned that I'd left because she ignored my medical condition. Corporate didn't like that one bit. When you're a supervisor at a big grocery chain, the words medical discrimination are poison. Within a week, Melissa was temporarily suspended pending investigation. By week 2, gone, fired, and the irony? Tom himself called me. It was a Thursday morning. I was halfway through breakfast when my phone rang. Unknown number, but local area code. "Hey Jake, this is Tom." I hesitated, then said, "Yeah, what's up?" "Listen, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry." That stunned me. Tom was old school, the kind of guy who thought apologies were a sign of weakness. "You didn't deserve how you were treated," he said. I should have kept a closer eye on things. Melissa, she's gone now. HR found enough to terminate. For a second, I didn't even know how to respond. I appreciate that, I finally said. But honestly, I'm just glad it's over. He paused. If you ever want to come back, the door's open. I'll personally make sure it's different this time. And that's when I realized he meant it. But I also realized something even more important. I didn't want to go back. Because sometimes closure isn't walking through a new door. It's locking the old one behind you. People think revenge always means fire and fury, slamming doors, shouting matches, public takedowns. But sometimes the most devastating revenge is silence. It's letting them feel your absence. Letting the machine they thought couldn't stop crumble without the one cog that made it work. Melissa thought power meant control. She never understood that real power is having the courage to walk away. Pain taught me something valuable. You can't heal in the same place that hurt you. And once you learn your worth, you never let anyone make you doubt it again. So, tell me in the comments, have you ever walked out of a toxic job and never looked back? What was your breaking point? Hit that like button if you've ever tasted that kind of freedom. And don't forget to subscribe, because here we don't just tell revenge stories. We tell stories where walking away is the justice, because sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply peace.